Greetings, Goddess Body, Mind, Spirit community. This is your Goddess Guru, Tyra Omilade, here to share a word of inspiration with you on your path to self-realization and self-mastery. Today is March 19th, 2019. We are almost at the full moon in Libra. I will be making a full moon in Libra video. Also, we are upon the equinox. So those two very special astrological cyclical events are happening on March 20th. So that's pretty incredible. Sun moves into Aries, new year, and full moon in Libra, and it's sort of like opposing energy. So who knows what we're in store for, but we can definitely end and begin some stuff on that day. All right. So that will be coming later today. Um, Hello to everyone out there who has joined me. So I've been having a conversation with myself and sharing a little bit within the inner circle, my inner circle on Patreon. And I finally kind of have an idea of a concept that I think we all can ponder to see if this is something that applies to us. There is a concept in the metanetter called the dark deceased. Some people would say it's not a concept, this is a reality. The dark deceased, there's always the positive manifestation of an energy and a negative manifestation. So there's the ancestors of light that we are encouraged to work with. Our ancestors are helping us all the time, our ancestors of light. They did good while they were here in the ancestral realm. They help us, whether we ask for their help or not. And our ancestors of light are the ones that we study to determine, like, what is the legacy? What legacy did they leave? How can I become better by following their example? And what part of the legacy am I to pick up? This positive legacy. On the flip side is the dark deceased. The dark deceased are perhaps energies that people, when they were here, they did not live a life of good character and left a lot of negative karma. And when they died, they ran away from the light. Instead of going to the light, they ran away from it. They became stuck. Another example of dark deceased is, say, the example given in Metronetter, it's such a good one, is let's say a mother dies, worried, sick about her child, and she runs away from the light. So it's like unfinished business, trying to hang on to take care of something or someone. They run away from the light, they get stuck. I also consider dark deceased to be energies such as our own inner demons. And that's really what I want to address today. I also see dark deceased as energies that attach to us due to a weakened spiritual immune system. So, for instance, an example that I use often, my own example, is depression and worry. There was a point in time when that was just like my MO. That was just how I operated. And I began to realize, wait a minute, I don't want to be like this. Why is it so easy for me to fall into this? Well, I sort of felt like there was this energy around me. I would call it the spirit of worry. And I would just say, you're not going to attach to me today. It would literally feel like it was some energy that was feeding off of my life force. And it did so because I had a habit pattern of worry. Once I started getting rid of worry and saying, I'm just not operating like that anymore, then I began to realize that thing was gone, you know. So dark deceased come in many forms. The good news about dark deceased is dark deceased only hang around us because we allow them to. That's one good thing about dark deceased. They hang around us because we allow them to. And if we don't want them to be around us, once we recognize it's them, then we send them on their way with light and love towards their healing. And the other good thing about dark deceased is they show us where we're headed towards being a dark deceased if we do not make changes. Thank you, dark deceased. I see in your only way with light and love towards your healing. Now, don't be hanging around me. But these dark deceased, they show us where we are, because they're hanging around us trying to get light and love to get unstuck. And so as they hang around us, they bring their negative energy, and the next thing we know, we're acting like them. Well, the only reason, the way this can happen is if that's an inclination, a propensity that we have. So we can get some information from the dark deceased. So going back to the inner demons, this is one that I think many of us deal with more than we know. And recently I had a revelation about a dark deceased that I had that I did not know that I had. And that is related to me giving up vegetarianism and slash veganism a long time ago. I don't really want to get too legalistic about vegetarian, veganism, all that kind of good stuff, because I just am moving to a point where it's just like it's neither here nor there for me. But in my early days, I have a propensity for being healthy. I mean, it's just a part of my nature. And I remember even as a 10-year-old girl, me and my neighbor, Candace, we would diet and exercise. I was dieting and exercising in the 80s at 10. All this craze that we got going on now, me and my girl Candace, we were doing that at 10 and 11 years old in the 80s. My mother was into power walking, and when she wanted to lose weight, she would eat salads. So it was just around me. You know, she was a nurse too. So she had this knack for health. And so when I went off to college, I began to shed my childhood, like the ways that I learned to eat. And so I gave up pork one year, and then the next year I gave up beef. And then eventually I got into vegetarianism, veganism. And I say that because I always sort of teetered the line. I was a vegetarian and vegan in the 90s, where there wasn't internet and all that kind of good stuff. And though people who were vegan were very like, you're not vegan if you eat any animal products, like even honey. I just wasn't like that, but I would listen to what they had to say, and I was like, okay, yeah, that's the superior diet. That's what I'm striving for always. So that's why I always sort of say vegetarian, vegan, because that's really what I was. I leaned more towards veganism, but I wasn't. I mean, if I used honey or even ate some eggs or used a little bit of cheese, I didn't care. What I initially found out, though, from giving up pork, from giving up beef, and being a vegetarian vegan was I got immediate health benefits. So, it was a really good time. I met a lot of new people. It was, to a certain degree, a doorway into another doorway into me just really loving being healthy and understanding, how to live the optimal life through the body. I got into herbs and everything before that. I was taking herbs at like 2021, and then became a vegetarian vegan around 24, I think is when I became a vegetarian and vegan. And was sort of like that kind of vegetarian who thought that everybody should be a vegetarian. So I was like snobby. But thank goodness my husband never hesitates in letting me know when he thinks I'm out of order. He was like, you do know that you are a little bit of a jackass with this thing. He didn't necessarily say it that way, but that's basically what he meant. He was like, you're just rude the way you talk about the way you eat. So it just makes me think about what I see now with vegetarianism and veganism now that I'm not. It's like, whoa, I was that way. But I toned it down. Eventually. Especially once I started having children. That was when everything started changing for me. And I had my first son. I was vegetarian, not vegan, vegetarian while I was pregnant. And he was a vegetarian the first 2 years of his life. And once I became a vegetarian, I recognized I was nowhere close to being healthy. I was in survival mode. But so I was a horrible vegetarian after having him. And I noticed that he had a nosebleed all the time. And my mother-in-law would sneak him meat, and she would just give him whatever. Like, I just really did not want him to eat pork. That was like the number one meat I did not want my child to eat. And finally I was just like, okay, just let him eat poultry and seafood. I don't care, just let him eat poultry and seafood, just don't give him pork and beef. And as soon as he started eating meat, his nose stopped bleeding. This kid had a nosebleed almost every day. I never related it to his diet, nothing. I was just like, is it the air is too dry or what? And that's when I really began to realize everybody cannot be a vegetarian and have health. And then I got pregnant with my second son, and I decided, okay, I cannot be a vegetarian vegan anymore. So I abandoned ship. Thank goodness it was before internet days. I wasn't deep in a vegetarian vegan community. I still had vegetarian vegan friends. It was just like different back then. If you abandon ship, with my crew, you weren't excommunicated. So I just moved on and have just evolved. I've been a raw foodist. Shortly thereafter, I still flirted with vegetarianism and veganism because I felt it was superior. So anytime I would be able to create a healthy meal that had no meat or whatever, I was cool with not eating meat. I didn't eat a lot, all these thoughts that we have as vegetarians and vegans. And so I did raw foods, which I loved, and just slowly but surely have evolved in the way that I eat, and realized that now if I eat vegetarian vegan, people don't know that I hey, Cassia, thank you, I appreciate you. I had a great birthday. It was so cool. So as I have begun to evolve, if I eat vegetarian vegan now, it does not work. I gain weight just like this because I weigh myself every day. So it helps me to see the effects of food, activity, inactivity, specific foods, drinks, all that kind of good stuff. I see the effects of it immediately in the scale. And so with vegetarianism and veganism, I notice my weight just keeps going up. But just learned so much. I've learned so much. Fast forward to these last few weeks, I've been watching videos about ex-vegans. I really have not thought anything about it. I'm not a part of it, so I don't think too much about it. But I didn't realize how huge vegetarianism and veganism is, I guess because it's always been a part of my life. It doesn't shock me when I find out people, have that kind of style of eating. But I didn't realize that this thing is blowing up in a way where if somebody, like folks are first of all getting on social media, putting it out there. So when they decide they're not going to do this thing, it's like a hard fall. But because they're putting it on social media, when they talk about their fall, it's showing how much vegetarianism and veganism, it really and truly becomes like a way of understanding the world. This is not just a style of eating. This is a way of understanding the world. And I really get that. I remember it was like I lived in a different reality if I wasn't around vegetarians and vegans and raw foodists. That's really like a whole nother way of living. It's so different. And these people are so sold on vegetarianism and veganism that they don't realize that their health is crumbling. And I've had the same experience without realizing it until I watched these videos just in the last few weeks. I'm 49. This is like a 25-year journey. And so they're so sold on it. They're so sold on vegetarianism and veganism, especially veganism, that they don't realize that they're at the brink of death. And all of these people that I've watched almost get to the brink of death, broken bones, hair loss, inability to have a sex drive and get pregnant, all this kind of stuff. They literally get to a point where they're in bed for 9 months at a time. They can't get out of bed. One woman's husband had to get her out of bed. And it never dawns on them that it's the veganism. Even if people say it's your diet, they're like, no way, no, because I know this is superior. And so I don't even know how I found these videos, and let me just caveat this with saying, these videos are made by carnivores. Now, I had heard of a carnivore when I was a raw foodist. This woman who I would, read her stuff, her husband ate raw meat. I'd never heard of anybody eating raw meat. I was like, what? Never heard of anyone else. But carnivores are on the rise, I guess. And so they're making all these ex-vegan videos. And some of them, one that I was watching in particular, he had actually been a vegan, almost died, and was like, forget this. So now he's in carnivore land. So there's a, what do you call it, a motive behind showing these videos. And it's really to help people to understand more than anything that we should be in tune with our own selves. The world cannot dictate to us what we should eat. Our body should dictate. Although we may get information, we must test it through our bodies. So, Dark Deceased, I am watching these videos and completely blown away. And I start having all these emotions. And I'm like, I did not realize that I still was judging myself because I was no longer a vegetarian. I've been trying to go back to this thing because I'm like, why am I having problems with my weight? Maybe it's because I'm eating meat. And then when I hear vegans and vegetarians, especially vegans, speak, it's like I feel so judged. I'm eating, animals. The system is so jacked and these animals are treated so cruelly for us to be able to eat. And I'm feeling guilty about that. It's just all this guilt that I was carrying. I didn't know it. I did not know that I was judging myself all these years. My younger son is 15, almost 16 years old, 16, almost 17 years. I've been telling myself, you eating inferior food. You just, even though in my mind, I think I've moved on, And for me, it's not about vegetarianism and veganism. I honor however people decide they want to eat for whatever reason they want to eat that way. I just encourage people to trust their body's intuition because not doing that has gotten me in the health problems. Vegetarianism and veganism is not good for my body. It may be good for the environment. It may be good for the little animal friends that I would not eat if I was vegetarian and veganism or vegan. It is not good for my body. And so, I got to eat the way that I need to eat. That is a part of the lesson that the Dark Deceased have brought to me, that don't you ever trust somebody else. You trust yourself. But I was sharing, me and a friend were sharing the other day, and her Dark Deceased is when you go out and you're not spiritually like everyone else. I've encountered this, and to a certain degree, I still might have this experience. You go out, everybody's fill in the blank, and you're different. And where we are, it's you better be Christian. If you're not Christian, if you're not going to church, even Christians that don't go to church, they're going to get talked about, It makes you feel uncomfortable. It's a dark deceased. And these dark deceased, to a certain degree, they anchor us. They keep us stuck in our stumble. But like I put in the title, it's subtle. All these years I'm walking around with dark deceased. I have no idea. And the dark deceased is my own inner demon created by me. At one point, my dark deceased was, are they going to witch hunt me? I am a homeschool in Tennessee. And so initially, the only people homeschooling was people who were doing it that were very, very Christian, And I would have encounters with them. Like, they would find out I wasn't Christian. And I'm telling you, these people go on attack. And it's made me, like, really scared and nervous, like a nervous and scared cat trying to guard my territory. They're going to find me out. And I always used to say, I'm scared they're going to witch hunt me, So this is sort of how my friend is feeling. She homeschools. We're hanging out with these people. It doesn't matter, black or white. Down in Tennessee, these people are Christian. And so what I want to just let everybody know is that we need to get in touch with our dark deceased. And the way these dark deceased operate is they show us our fears, but it's sort of like a phantom. When you think about a phantom, you don't exactly see the phantom, you sort of feel it, but you don't really see it. And but it's there and you feel it. And sometimes it's like, what did I hear? And that's how it used to come up for me. I would hear like that phantom thought, and I'm like, yeah, I should be nervous about that. And it creates a like a biochemical reaction within us, and to a certain degree, it like paralyzes us. But there's no time for this dark decease, okay? And maybe part of the thing I had said I was going to talk about in the full moon reading is if the full moon in Libra highlights a dark decease, a demon aspect of yourself, or a demon that you've created, that it's coming up. And that's how this veganism thing came up for me. I wasn't looking for this. I just was bored one day, so I was like, ex-vegan, what? I was bored one day, looked at the video, and because I did that and watched enough of them and I started having an emotional reaction, I started saying, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. I didn't realize that I had this in me. And in letting it go, first of all, I'm not triggered anymore about what anybody's talking about. However people talk about how they eat, I don't care. Because I used to feel so guilty. It's like, oh, and vegans, some vegans, not all, some vegans, they are harsh. There was a conversation that was going on Facebook. A vegan was saying she was having problems with something. And me and another lady replied, well, we used to be vegans and this is what we did. But when that problem happened for us, we began to realize this is not working. And some people started saying, you see how non-vegans get on here and start making comments like non-vegans have no say-so in this conversation. And I don't know, I just felt uncomfortable. I remember seeing another vegan saying, how can people who love animals contribute to their rape and torture and slaughter and all that kind of good stuff? You know, she's a vegan. I felt so guilty. I don't feel that way anymore. I'm free. I'm free. I'm good. I bless everybody. For whatever reason you want to do it, however you want to do it, whatever. If you come to me, I'm going to tell you, learn how your body works. And I'm so much more clear, which I needed to be this way for myself so that I can get my health back. I'm tired of feeling down and out, which then impacts my ability to express my giftedness. And so I'm just saying to you all, if your dark disease come up, you need to sit. Y'all got my cup of Shango. Pull up a cup of Shango. That's coffee. Those of us who love Shango, we love our coffee. Pull up your cup of Shango, your tea, whatever you like to drink. Maybe you need to get some water so you can get ready to go to battle and get that dark disease up out of your mind, up out of your spirit. Because what do the dark disease do? They show us where we're on our way towards being dark deceased. And I be doggone. Y'all know I'm talking about my health regularly. My health and all these things that I do with my health, if I don't get my act together, I'm being shown where I'm on my way to being a dark deceased. So please, please, please know that dark deceased, sometimes they are, it's like, wait a minute, I feel some negative energy. I want to smudge. You just know it's something not right. Sometimes I feel like I see something when I'm doing like this. I don't act like that when it's my ancestors of light. It's only when I feel like it's a dark deceased around me. But sometimes the dark deceased, they're so slick and so subtle and so created by you, by me. We pop them there and they just thrive off of us falling for whatever they're saying we need to fall for. Your dark deceased, you know it. I don't know. It's an infinite number. I cannot even begin to go down the list. I've given you 2 examples today. So where does this resonate for you? And allow this full moon to pull up the dark deceased energy that you need to transform, transmute. That was another word that has come up for this week in the reading that I did for the inner circle. What can you transform? What can you transmute? Which means you take that dark deceased and you turn it into something else. So for me, I've transmuted my dark deceased into understanding intuitive eating, into now a whole new journey and understanding how does my body work. And so another thing we can do is give thanks. I give thanks for this entire journey that I'm on, because I no longer eat because I think any particular diet is the superior diet. I eat based on my hormones. I eat based on what is the human body expecting. How has no one ever taught us this? That people think they're teaching us that, but they're not. Because if it's saying, well, you need to eat plant food, the teeth, how the teeth made for humans, it's not made to eat this, or, with the carnivores, they're drinking blood. Maybe not all carnivores. I'm not in that culture. I know nothing. I just know I see them drinking blood and eating raw meat, and they will tell you why this is what humans should do and all that kind of good stuff. So I'm like, okay, all right. But the ones that are saying, okay, we got this hormone situation with insulin, we got leptin and all that. That's who I'm listening to, because I want to eat according to my body. I give thanks for the dark deceased because they are leading me to understanding what is the second brain, which is the microbes in our gut. I don't know anything about that yet, but that was one of the things that came out of me watching all these ex-vegan videos. I found a doctor who's talking about the microbes in the gut, which I've known about, but I haven't done enough research on. Is leading me into a whole new place and is leading me back to where I am healthy and I'm not sold on any one thing. I just get to be guided by my spirit. Isn't that the best way to be led? That's another thing about dark deceased. They don't never want you to be guided by your spirit. So if you are called into a spiritual tradition, but you stay in the one that the world says we're supposed to stay in, are you going to grow? Are you going to thrive? If it's career, I remember telling my mom, I want to be a dancer. She was like, no, baby, you want to be a doctor. I want to be a nurse. No, you want to be a doctor, But that wasn't my calling. I'm so anti-medical system at this point. I use it for what it's good for. I don't totally knock it, but that's not the industry that has helped me have the best health, So dancing is what I'm doing now. I dance. It's what I do. I teach. So, or no one even knew to tell me, this is your spiritual path, this goddess Afro path, If I was like, no, I must do what everybody wants me to do, that's what the dark deceased is doing. Don't deviate. If you deviate, oh, it's going to be so horrible, and it's like, if I stay, I'm dead. That's where dark deceased lead us to. So whatever's taking you towards death. And if you don't follow the dark deceased, perhaps you're moving towards your destiny. You're moving towards peace. You're moving towards love. You're moving towards happiness. You're moving to having everything in your life that you want. So we cannot let our dark deceased subtly make us slip, trip, and fall. But the main thing we have to remember is we created the dark deceased. And we harbor the dark deceased. And we must, ourselves, let go of the dark deceased. And it's very easy. It's very, very easy if we but would allow it. This is Tyra Omilade, your goddess guru. Thanking you all so much for tuning in today. Please like the video, share the video, visit my website at goddessbodymindspirit.com and check out what I have there. Also, if you want to join the inner circle where I am providing more guidance, more wisdom on a deeper level, you can go to Patreon, patreon.com/goddess body mind spirit. And I have levels from $5 to $30, y'all. It's not even expensive, all right? But everything I share, I do from my heart because I want us to be as free as we possibly can be and on the straight and narrow to our destiny towards enlightenment. I'm wishing you all a wonderful full moon. You will see me again in the next 24 hours. And I hope Mercury retrograde has been going well for you all. And yeah, so love y'all. Take care.